Welcome to Inside Sim Racing. I'm Tom Hackey.
And I'm Sean Cole.
And today we are reviewing the PTR pedals.
PTR pedals.
Yes.
These are quite different pedals from a Logitech set.
This is a pretty big change to the Logitech pedal set. They're from ptracing.net, and they give you longer pedals. I mean, it's a direct replacement for the stock pedal shaft there. They give you a new clutch spring. You use the clutch spring in the gas, and you use the stock brake spring in the brake with a load cell that is built into the pedal, and a rubber Nixum type mod thingy do.
All included in this. And these are the original Logitech faces.
Original Logitech pedal faces, and you can choose to use the plastic inserts or not in the pedals. If you do want to use those, you have to shave the center one down for the brake due to the load cell mounting points. But yeah, really flexible and really cool.
Very cool. Yeah. Very cool. I mean, obviously the reason you'd want these extended, even with my smaller feet, if I'm driving in shoes, you need that length. I mean, my toes would stick out a few inches above the pedals. So, I mean, right off the bat, that's the most noticeable thing.
Yeah, it's nice not to have your heels back here. It's nice to have them up here, resting against the entire pedal and giving you that. And it feels right. I mean, anyway. So, let's talk about assembly really quick. Okay. Again, know that you're going to void your warranty as soon as you open up the case to any of your electronics. Get an easy mod, just like the Nixum mod. Not too technical, not too difficult. So take apart the 14 screws on the bottom, including the 2 under the carpet gripper. Be careful of the potentiometer wires. Loosen one pedal at a time as always, and holding the pedal, turn it over. Remove the 2.5mm Allen screws at the top of the spring and the 5mm Allen and 10mm nut at the bottom of the spring. Before you pull the pedal apart, pay attention to how the gears mesh on the potentiometer there, because you will need to recreate that, and there are a couple different ways it can go back together.
So that is kind of complex once you get in there.
It's a little bit. I mean, just observe, what you're doing before you just explode everything apart. So once you remove that front pedal bit, you need to transfer over those white bushings that are in there. They kind of center the pedal. You might need to hammer them in. They make the holes in this mod a little bit smaller so that people who have used these pedals a lot and have worn bushings, it'll still be snug, which is nice. So if you have newer pedals, you'll need to hammer it in, and then it'll be secure. Okay. And exchange the spring if it's called for in that particular pedal. On the brake, you'll need to attach the color-coded electrical connectors and electrical tape them individually to prevent them from shorting. So there's not a purpose-built connector in there. You'll need to isolate those.
So you're pulling out the old ones, putting in the new ones, isolating them with tape.
Yep. Now, I actually just left the potentiometer in there. I'm sure you could take it out if you're really concerned about weight savings or anything like that, but I figured let's leave them stock just in case we want to go back. Remount the pedals and continue on with the others in the same manner. You may need help getting the clutch spring in the mount hole, as it is very, very stiff. I needed Darren's help to do that, actually. So mount the last pedal to the bottom plate, reattach the top plate, making sure to be careful of the wiring again, and you're ready to go. Again, this is a no software mod. PS3 compatible. It'll look just like your stock G27 or 25 pedals, even with the load cell, which is awesome.
How long did it take you to do that?
Less than an hour.
Okay.
Yeah, very quick. Very quick. And if you're using the Bodner box or cable, know that you have to switch all red and black wires in the pedals, all of them, every pedal.
Okay.
So just know that. But very compatible, right away, ready to go. The only thing that I found once you're running them is you need to set your linearity in your game or your brake curve factor somewhere between what would normally be springs and load cells, because this is still using the spring and activating the load cell down here.
Right.
So use trial and error, though. I mean, find what feels good for you.
Sure. Yeah. And you're going to do that per sim. I mean, each sim's going to handle it a little bit differently.
Yeah, and some will find that these little plastic guys give them better grip and everything. So, I mean, just really play around with it. They are adjustable. Just figure out what feels best.
I kind of miss the inserts and the feeling of having them there, but I like the way it makes it look like a new pedal set.
That's true.
I thought they were new faces even when I first saw it.
Sometimes my big toe gets stuck in the hole up here. That's a personal problem, though. Okay. We'll be right back with pros and cons after this.
GamePod, the ultimate race rig for those serious about sim racing. Puts you in the driver's seat with all the controls at your fingertips. Be number one on the road, in the race, in the game. GamePod, the choice of champions.
Team of all, is a winner. Tamiya's extensive lineup of radio-controlled vehicles provides hobbyists with the joy of running exact replicas of their favorite car, tank, or off-road vehicle. Another attraction of these vehicles is their use of high-grade materials, such as nylon resin, carbon fiber, and polycarbonate. With precise mechanical systems, the maintenance and adjustment of the various components, as well as performance upgrading with optional parts, allows for truly competitive racing. For more information about Tamiya, visit us at www.tamiyausa.com.
Welcome back. I'm here with Sean Cole, and we're going to go through the pros and cons, starting with the cons, moving toward the positive. The first con is price. They are a little bit pricey, $160 for this pedal.
That does seem to be the range of the upper end mods for these pedals, though.
Especially when you get into load cells.
Yeah, definitely. And it's a legit load cell.
It is. It is. You are flexing this bar of aluminum with a couple holes in it and using the load cell there. You are still using the spring, though, so that's kind of a strange hybrid situation.
Right.
But yeah, very interesting. When the brake is in its top position, now I've got it moved down, as you can see there, but when the brake is in its top position, there's 1.25 inches of travel between no brake and hitting that rubber stop where you start really engaging the load cell. I find that too much. I would go as far as 1/2 inch. The Club Sports moved 7/8 of an inch, but if you move this pedal down to the bottom location, you can get it down to 1 inch. So I think between 1/2 inch to 1 inch is pretty good.
Right.
So I mean, it makes up for itself. But
so kind of helped it a little bit by moving it down. But that's really your position. It didn't change. I mean, the range is the same.
Range is the same. It's just what arc is your foot following.
Right.
And Attila, the CEO, said he will make that rubber longer if you want it. So I would say, if you were going to get this pedal mod, to tell him, hey, I like 7/8 of an inch travel, 1/2 inch, something in that range.
Right.
To really get a positive feel there. I don't need that much modulation on the first 10 to 15% of braking.
Right. Okay. Well, that's pretty cool. That'll make it any way you want
Yeah, it's sort of a con that turns into a pro very quickly because he's very good at the customer support.
Right.
Again, it is a hybrid between spring and load cell. So a lot of the load cells that we're used to, the load cell is in line with the braking axis.
Right.
And you reach the load cell and you push on it like that, and then you're pushing on it. In this case, it is in line with the pedal, and the spring is mounted to one end of it. So you're pushing the spring and flexing this bar. It's sort of a two-stage process. I'm not sure if I completely like the way that makes the force feel, but I don't dislike it either. So it's just different.
What it seemed to do for me was create a secondary curve to it, where again, in the beginning stages, it was much lighter braking, and it progressively got harder in terms of the sensory, not the spring tension so much.
Right, yeah. It just feels different. It's very interesting, but not wrong. I'd say it leans more toward performance street brake than race brake.
Absolutely.
Another couple cons, as this is so much longer than the stock pedal, when the brake is up in the higher position and you start to compress it, it becomes so laid back like that your foot does start flying off of the pedal, and I find that a little crazy. The plastic would probably help with that if you shave it down for these bolts. But again, I had to move it down here to make it stiffer anyway. Also, if you mounted it on a rig with a raised pedal plate, we were running it on the GamePod, and that's a flat pedal plate. And yeah, if you put it on a raised rig or mounted them inverted, that would help.
Definitely.
That would help that whole situation.
Actually, these would make very, very good inverted pedals.
Extremely good inverted pedals,
That extra length would come in handy for that.
You wait for the pros.
All right.
Sean's eyeballing those now.
Yeah.
The last thing I'd say about them on the cons is these sharp edges. They're a little unfinished.
Yes.
And just they can, I put my foot back here sometimes, and that could be a dangerous situation.
I did cut myself while assembling these, so I mean, just be careful. They're very, very sharp edges.
And so that's really about it. And I mean, the last one's kind of nitpicky there. So
Definitely.
why don't we move on to the pros?
Okay, the pros. This pedal length is perfect.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
At first, I thought, who cares? I mean, really, honestly, that's what I
really
thought.
Kitschy.
And then as soon as they were on, it's like, oh, now I get it.
Yeah.
Because mine are like these little mini pedals, and how do you even get your feet on them?
Well, and the stock throw is so short, and this gives it like a real pedal throw. It's like, oh yeah, that's what it's supposed to feel like. They are way better than stock pedals for that reason. Perfect for inverting, as we said. I mean,
so I let the cat out of the bag.
You did. That's why I said wait for the pros, Sean.
A couple of things for me, obviously the ability to adjust the pedals. So like what you did with the brake pedal here, I thought that was really clever. But I mean, being able to move the pedals to the side as well.
Yep.
And then beyond that, I mean, this is a really easy upgrade. So it's not going to take you a lot of time, and it's going to make a big difference right out of the gate.
Yeah, and the last thing for me is that Attila Kiss and that whole company is great at customer support. You know, he offered many times different springs, different lengths of rubber. He's willing to give you what you need there. So this whole complaint of the too floppiness, it's sort of null and void because he's willing to ship you something else. And
make it exactly how you want.
Yeah. So a couple things to remember. With the long pedal mod, the brake does move laterally a half an inch. I have footage of that there, but that's a lot of wiggle on these pedals. And that's not Attila's fault. That has nothing to do with his mod and everything to do with the Logitech pedals.
And then just making that longer, it makes it even more noticeable.
Precisely. So that's just something to look out for. I think when you're using these pedals, I think you should just be careful to push them in a very unidirectional motion. Don't do a lot of lateral force on these pedals. You might shorten the life of your pedals that way. But I don't know. You know, it's going to be like the Nixon where we just hammer it for 3 years, and then when the next thing comes along, we'll take it apart and go, oh yeah, that lasted really well. And we'll tell you. But it took me 5 to 10 laps to get consistent on these. Not bad.
No, not bad at all.
Not bad. A lot shorter than stock G27s.
Definitely. At first, the extreme amount of movement before it was getting heavy braking, I didn't like at first. But like you said, I got used to it so quickly that it actually gave me a great amount of range of motion to work with. And I found I adjusted to it real quick. The other thing for me was, this is now my favorite gas pedal ever. Inverted, flat, either way. It has the right tension. The extra length of it really helps out.
Yeah, I agree. And you know what? The clutch pedal for me.
Gas pedal. Sorry,
it's okay,
I'm a little backward here.
And the clutch pedal for me too. I haven't felt a clutch that's properly long. It just feels right. I don't know. It's hard to explain, kind of. It doesn't have what I was talking about earlier, that turning the corner feel where you push it in and you reach that spot. But it feels the perfect length. It really does. It's a little bit more positive than the Nixon. I love that braking point. I love to feel that dink. Now the pads are touching the brake disc.
Well, and this is a real load cell mod, not just a Nixon, which is a great mod, but it's sort of mimicking a load cell.
Yes.
This is the real deal.
So, and maybe a little less robust just because of the length, but I'm not sure. I have a feeling these might last quite a while.
Sure.
So let's go into the rev scale and get out of here. We give the PTR pedals a 9 out of 10 on the rev scale.
Very nice.
Yeah, very, very nice. Before we go, we'd like to say thank you to Attila Kiss for sending us these pedals and being so supportive on the customer support front. Being so flexible and willing to send us different lengths of rubber to test, different springs and stuff like that. Really, really cool. I mean, that's the kind of thing that, you know, makes it worthwhile. You don't want to get a set of pedals and then find out that you don't like one little aspect and have the company say, oh, well, you're on your own.
You're on your own. Deal with it.
No, it's absolutely the opposite of that. So thank you, Attila, for that. And that's it. I'm Tom Hackey.
Sean Cole.
And we'll see you next time.
Promotional consideration provided by iRacing.com, the ultimate place to race online. The world's finest model manufacturer and leader in RC cars, trucks, and tanks. Go to TamiyaUSA.com.
And GamePod, the choice of champions. Go to gamepod.co.uk.
Bad,
You did. That's why I said wait for the pros, Sean.
Inconceivable.
Pedal set. They're from ptracing.net.